My name is Eric Jolly, and I am the President and CEO of St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation. Because we're a community foundation, we have the good fortune of partnering with both nonprofits and donors throughout the state of Minnesota. These relationships give us a front row seat to tremendous acts of generosity and impact, of courage, compassion, love. And each day, especially during these challenging times in all corners of our state, from our smallest towns to our largest cities, people are working together to create an equitable, just, and vibrant Minnesota where all communities and people thrive. In this present moment, we'd like to share these stories with you. Joining me today in this present moment is Mary McKeown. And Mary is the CEO and President of Keystone Community Services, an amazing organization that does so much to support our cities and our state. Mary, can you tell me a little more about how current events have impacted the community that you work with?
The pandemic, the riots, everything has impacted everyone we work with. Keystone works with people from kindergartners all the way up to, I think our oldest participant is about 103. And in our community, COVID-19 has hit everybody very, very intensely and very differently. For our seniors and some of our youth, our programs, it was like the faucet just got abruptly turned off. For our food shelf programs, our crisis support, our case management, it's like the floodgates were open. So it's really had a huge impact in very different ways for our whole community. And then the unrest and what was happening on University Avenue really just added another layer of concern and worry over people that were already feeling anxious and uncertain.
My gosh. Well, this is so stressful because all of the systems that we rely on have taken a turn in some way that is hard for people to figure out. How do you get access to what you need? What are some of the creative solutions that you're implementing to be able to serve your community?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things we did out of the gate when COVID-19 hit is we kind of went old school. And we literally called everybody. We picked up the phone and had a conversation with all the seniors that are on our Meals on Wheels program, with all our case management seniors, with all the families, because we felt we really needed to make sure they knew that even though they weren't physically with us, that we were with them and we were there for them as a presence, as a connector, as someone who could help them. And that really helped us figure out what those next steps should be. And so those conversations, I want to tell you, were just so powerful. And I'm grateful that our staff share back a lot of those with me, because then I really feel like I understand. One of the things that came out of that, and again, it's kind of old school, but it's something that's working. And sometimes that's what we need, is we had a group of volunteers who had been delivering meals. Many of them fit the criteria of people that should stay home and not venture out, but they still wanted to help. And so we quickly started a phone-friendly visiting program, because we had some seniors in our Meals on Wheels program that said, I'd really like to talk to somebody every day. I really enjoy getting to meet that volunteer every day at the door with the meal. Those are the kinds of things we started right away in our after-school programs. Our teachers and our staff brought boxes of supplies home to the families and dropped them off at their doorsteps with a wave, because a lot of those families didn't necessarily have all of the supplies they needed to be able to do the schoolwork for school, as well as any of the things that we were doing with them virtually. So making those really personal connections to us was the way, it's kind of how Keystone does our thing. And to us, it was the way that we could learn from our community. Okay, now we've kind of all gotten settled. Now what's next?
What I love is that you didn't just call them, you asked them how you could serve them, and you let that shape your work. It's a great example. Can you tell me of any other examples of leadership or innovation that you've seen that have given you hope in this time?
I think one of the things I've just been so impressed by is our nonprofit community. Our nonprofit leaders, in St. Paul, I work very closely with the other 3 community centers, Merit Community Services, Neighborhood House, and Hallie Q. Brown. And all of the nonprofit leaders just immediately we were on Zoom calls together saying, now, how are you handling this? Who's taking care of this? What are you doing around safety? Because some of us were doing that frontline work right away, and we really had to help each other out. And there was no reason for us to redo something if somebody else had already figured it out the day before. So I think utilizing that really unbelievable network of executives that most of us are doing frontline work. And so we're in the trenches with our staff, and we're figuring this out. And that was probably the most challenging part of the pandemic. It was like, it seemed like every day you were figuring something new out, whether it related to how did you handle a staff person who was thinking they might have COVID versus, how do you completely revamp your food shelf services so you can provide that safely to your participants, as well as using volunteers in a safe manner. So that leadership of that group of people has just been inspiring to me, because I learn something every time I'm on those Zoom calls. And I really feel like I've got my group that can help me do this work now and well into the future.
What's amazing to me is that self-organizing nature of the leadership here in Minnesota and of our community members here in Minnesota. It's remarkable. Organizations are coming together in stunning new ways that I think will not change and won't go back to where.
We had just finished a large strategic planning process, and so we quickly accelerated some things that we were planning to do in 2021. But because it was in our roadmap and our community had said, these are the things we need from you. An example of that is a partnership we're doing with Metro Mobility. So Metro Mobility wanted to keep their drivers driving and keep them employed. And so they're now coming and picking up food packages from our food shelves and delivering them out to people in the community that need that food support, but for a whole host of reasons, it's not a good idea for them to come to one of our food shelf sites. So again, a really great partnership that we were planning to do something like that. All of a sudden, we needed to do it in 3 weeks.
Have you seen a person, an individual, an act that's really been inspirational to you during this time?
Well, I was thinking as we were talking earlier about one of our volunteers who's been a tutor in our after-school program for many years. She's not very tech savvy, but she was so sad about missing those kids that she had been reading to, and she knew they were going to be struggling, that their learning loss was really going to be a challenge. So she worked with another program of ours, which is called Cyber Seniors. She was able to figure out how to get hooked up on Zoom, and she figured out a way, and we figured out a way to help her reconnect with the students that she had been reading to all school year long and for many years. And now she's able to really provide that volunteer support. But, she was bound and determined to make that happen. And those are the kinds of people that I'm inspired by. We also have a staff member who the day after the looting and the fires on University Avenue, I went to check all of our sites to make sure that none of the Keystone sites had been hit. And he and I literally, sat down and figured out how was he going to get into the Midway amidst all the police cars and the fire engines and deliver meals to seniors that live 2 blocks from where big buildings were burning. And he was like, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to get these meals because those seniors need to see a friendly face and they need to know that we're here for them. So, those are just 2 of hundreds of people that have supported the work that we're doing, either as volunteers or our staff that have pivoted and pivoted and pivoted every day. It's very inspiring for me as a leader.
These acts of compassion paired with courage are really about how we're going to build our community moving forward. And I so appreciate that your organization is at the center of so much of this activity. So Mary, if people want to learn more, to find opportunities to donate their time or their treasure or talent, what's your web address?
It's www.keystoneservices.org.
How can people support you?
Well, there's lots of ways, and people have been so generous. We have been so kind of overwhelmed by people just saying, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? So many of our organizations, our sister organizations are struggling because we have so many requests. But in our food shelves, we need single serve items. We have many homeless and seniors that we support. And those are some of the items that we can't get through our partnership with Second Harvest and the food group. So we've got a list on our website that says these are items that our homeless participants have said work the best for them. There's also cash, of course, is the most flexible way that we can use support from the community to quickly do something new. And I think that's one of the things that we have really appreciated about the support we've gotten from the community, because they've said, we know you're working hard, you use this where you need it most. And cash, of course, is the great way to do that. And donating online is a wonderful way to do that. We also need volunteers. We are figuring out right now, as I said, trying to use volunteers virtually, but we also need volunteers to help us at the food shelves. We were very grateful to have a lot of people who were laid off come and help us, but those people are going back to work now. So we are going to need new volunteers to fill those spots.
Thank you so much. I have had such a wonderful time visiting with you. Thank you for joining me here today in this present moment.
Really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, and thank you so much for what you're doing for the community as well.
You're so kind. Thank you.